Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin, Dowdark on the forums.
Hey everybody, this is Devin, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
And because it's a great Skorne episode, whatever, we brought on Pokey with us. Pokey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, guys. How are everybody today?
Good.
Great. Another day in paradise. So, we did have the second part of the errata dropper this week on Tuesday. So about 3 days ago by now at this point. So let's start talking about it. Devin, you want to lead us off?
So one of the things we're going to make very clear before we go through all these, there were 80 plus changes. So therefore us as an episode to keep into time, we're not going to read the line for line everything. We're not going to go over everything. Mainly what we want to cover in this episode is some of the major changes that we saw. How we think that it might affect the greater game. We will talk about everything that changed as of what was affected, but we may not go over everything line for line. So
wait, so they're not going to hear our sultry voices for the next 4.5 hours?
Not if we want to get anything done.
we're not giving people what they wanted, what they paid their money for.
That is true.
I'm getting paid for this?
No. We're
coming
getting paid for this.
in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
So let's dive into the beasts.
All right, so right off the bat, let's start. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with
Rhinodon
the
first?
Rhinodon.
Yeah, I was going to say Rhinodon starts with A because it's A Rhinodon. Because that's all you'll ever see is A Rhinodon.
So let's talk about the Rhinodon. On the major changes on it is that the strength was increased to 11, that his arm went up to 18, his tail attack was given 2-inch reach, and it gained critical knockdown.
I, as a big supporter of Rhinodons, would like to say that between the other changes in Mark III and these, I think the Rhinodon's in a very good spot. It doesn't make it overpowering, but I definitely think it makes it to where it fits a niche in the army.
I mean, it just gives us all the more reason to see more Rhinodons in the future, correct? So,
yes, no. I think that there is a need for Rhinodons now, where it's a situation where you've got this beast who could theoretically do some damage, and now that he's got 2 inches on his tail, he can do some damage from a pretty good distance, but he's not going to necessarily be one-rounding anything, and what it ends up doing is you're basically starting the peace trade with something that's not as critical as a sentry or a gladiator or something like that. I don't think, unless you're absolutely batshit crazy, I don't think you're necessarily going to have a list of 6, 7, or 8 of them.
Whoa. I am not crazy, sir. I'm not crazy.
Is that what the voices in your head tell you?
Yes.
But I don't think you're necessarily going to be spamming. They're not spammable. At 12 points, I don't see them as a spammable light. That's one of the reasons why I use the term light, is that I don't necessarily look at it as a heavy. I look at it as a beefy light. And at 12 points, I don't necessarily see that. That being said, you get a caster that's got any sort of debuffs that it can throw out or any way of increasing the output of the Rhinodon, and it could turn to that heavy level. I personally still think that 12 points is a little too much for them. I'd like to see them in the 11 or 10 range. Ideally, I was kind of going into the errata going, well, they're gonna bump them down to 10 because they just recently raised Mad Dogs and Berserkers to 10. Mm-hmm. That they're going to bump them down to 10, and Rhinodons are going to be Skorne's Mad Dog. And they didn't necessarily go that route, but I'm hoping that maybe they will in future. But I think it's an opportunity. The errata has made it so that you will see Rhinodons. It's not going to be the special snowflake who plays Rhinodons. It's only going to be the special snowflake who spams Rhinodons.
Well, one quick thing I'm going to put out there. about the Rhinodon, and I've actually been saying this since I started playing Skorne many years ago. The Rhinodon, in my opinion, is a good anti-infantry beast. If you want to run more beasts than infantry, the Rhinodon is a good way to get around having to take infantry for infantry. The fact that it has Thresher, the fact that it now has back to its 2-inch reach, and that they put the mat up one higher from the original Mark III release. I actually think that the Rhinodon now has the purpose of it can take out infantry, or it can take out the lights. It can take out a light. It can take out the lighter heavies, and it has the speed over a gladiator or any of the other titans that you would use to take out a heavy.
So, in your opinion, which of the 3 buffs that it got is the most pivotal?
The tail.
Okay.
And that's just because, like I said, I see it more as an anti-infantry beast. So for that, the tail going out to 2 inches was, in my, like I've said to you guys, before playing, if it had 2-inch reach, I wouldn't have changed any other thing about the beast. But the fact that they gave us increase in strength and arm, I'm all for it.
And Matt?
Well, the mat's from the Mark III, not from the errata.
Oh, okay. So who's next? Is it the Archidon?
Agonizer, since it is considered a beast.
I keep forgetting that little bastard's a beast.
So they just reduced the point cost of him to 6 points.
What was he at before?
8.
Whoa, that's pretty good jump.
He was pretty expensive to be like a support beast. Like, you kind of wanted him because of what he did, but it was a bitter pill to take every single time. I think this is basically putting him at 6 puts him in that category of a solid support piece that you're going to regularly see on the table.
A big change.
Hold on, just real quick. With the change, I think that because he's a small base, he has like 13, 14 wounds. He counts, in my opinion, he counts as a lesser. You don't want to point him at the same point cost as a light when he's got pretty much all the stats of a victimized lesser war beast. So I think 6 was a good solid point cost for him.
You were saying, Devin?
I think passing the Agonizer, I think a major change we need to talk about is the Sentinel, the Eridus Sentinel. It received the Scather. It got Scather on its Venom Blaster, kind of like the Ravagors.
I thought that was a very cool update, because I never even thought about the fact of him throwing out a pool that just sat there for a turn.
I legitimately didn't even think that was on the table. Like, I thought the Eridus Sentinel was relatively good already. Like, it just them giving it a Scather. Obviously, it plays into providing Skorne with an ability to provide infantry blocking so that their beasts don't get bogged down, because you can't get to the beast if they've got to go through a Scather to do it. Also, if you put, if my math is correct, 4-inch, if you drop a Scather...
3.
Is it 3? Is it 3? I thought they were 4. No, Cannoneer's 4. Okay. So, I mean, theoretically, you get 2 Scather templates down. Do you guys still have Ancillary?
No.
No. Well, that sucks. Oh, well. It's beneficial. I see a lot of people using it just to drop Scathers down to prevent charge lanes for single wound infantry if you see them. I haven't seen a lot of them.
And there's the change to their Animus is Swarm, by the way.
Yeah, which I think is much better, because I think Swarm was the much better choice for that.
I agree.
Let's see. So we have the Eridus Soldier went down to 16 points, so there was a reduce in the point cost. The Archidon got an increase to its strength. It went to strength 10. It received immunity electricity, which in my opinion makes complete sense since its Animus is Lightning Strike, the storm lands. It got a point reduction down to 10 points, and it also received, and this one to me was the biggest change, the long leash rule.
To me, the immunity to electricity makes me think that there's going to be a future caster that deals more with electricity. That's what I think. Because it makes no sense to have immunity to electricity for Skorne when we have nothing that's electrical. We have no electrical anything in our faction.
But it gives you a beast that can go into situations where, like, you don't necessarily, because if I remember correctly, the Archidon doesn't necessarily have a huge armor value to it.
17. I mean, it's not too bad, but its defense it really kind of helps it out too. So between the defense and arm, it really kind of counters itself out.
Yeah, but stuff like electroleaping and stuff like that turns it around to where you're off 7, but you get around the defense through that. It's a situation where you could see for circle play or Signar players could see an issue with if there's Archidons flying around. Long leash makes it so that they're going to be doing potentially a lot of damage in backfields, and immunity means that electroleap and stuff like that doesn't necessarily even impact them, nor does certain of their jacks like it was the Hurricane, I think, has the lightning. I mean, this guy basically becomes immune to the Hurricane's ranged attacks.
The only issue with the Hurricane is that it grounds everything. So long leash isn't going to affect too much because it won't be able to fly over because it loses flight.
That's right. Oh man, Skorne already getting the nerfs.
Good.
Well, it's only because of the dirty swans.
Hey. That's rude. We're fair and balanced now.
Yeah. Okay.
So the next thing to change was the Basilisk Drake. It gained Lurker. They changed the range of it to Self, and it gains Pathfinder and Bushwhack. So kind of interesting. The changes to that was on Force Aura. It says now, while within 3 inches of the spellcaster, friendly faction models gain +2 defense and arm attacks.
Yeah, that's because before it was just arm, I think. It was just one of them. It wasn't both before.
That's fantastic. I'll be honest, that is a really cool change because when you think about it, it definitely gives it used to be just defense, but now it adds arm. So that's awesome because then you can kind of create like a little bit of a Creelstone effect.
Well, does this stack with the Agonizer stuff as well? So, I mean, are Skorne basically getting like a +4 on their armor now?
But only against range attacks, because the Kriya is only against range attacks.
So the Kriya is against range attack, and the Agonizer is against melee because it affects your strength?
Yes.
Okay, that's not bad.
But the thing is, basically, they put the Kriya back to where she was for Mark II. That's basically what they just did.
I think the cool part about it is that with gun lines being so prominent anymore, that it gives Skorne a solid thing to gun lines.
And I think this actually deters people from doing gun lines a lot more, just in general. I mean, I think we're going to start seeing a big shift away from gun lines over the next few months.
Are you? Do you think so?
I think we'll see more because, Crix really didn't get the gun line buff that we thought they were. But we did see a slight reduction in gunline things with Haley going away, even though Haley really wasn't used. But I think the huge push for what we see with Skorne is, I think, going to keep gunlines more and more in check. Because I think of how good the potential of this errata feels, I think we're going to see an influx in Skorne players in the very near future.
Are you basically implying that Skorne is now the predator for gun armies?
I think they have an opportunity. They have a good showing to be a strong predator for those. They really were. They did really well in the past with that as well, with the Kreia, and with a lot of their ability to shrug off a lot of damage and stuff like that. I think this will kind of show that more.
I mean, think about it. I mean, between all of their different options to kind of boost their defense and stuff like that, as well as now get free charges, and once they do get into melee, they wreck your army. I think they're definitely becoming the alpha predator into gun lines.
So is that did they mention in the notes anywhere if that's what their intent is that they're trying to drive Skorne into this anti-gun meta army, like where all the other people are looking to Skorne to chase away all the gun lines?
The only thing they said in the development notes about this change is that they were helping out the cataphract units.
Okay.
Which makes sense because, now the cataphract units can actually make an advance with the Kriya behind them, and they have a survivability against a lot of ranged lists.
All right, well, I'm going to be looking to you, Pokey, and to Fort to remove all the gun lines from our meta.
That's weird.
Like in the next, 2 or 3 weeks, please. Get on that.
I'll leave that to Fort.
So So the next change was to the Bronzeback Titan. They increased his fury from 4 up to 5.
Which is putting him back to what he was, Mark II.
Right. And they reduced the threshold of the Bronzeback Titan to 7.
And is there anywhere in the errata where they changed his FA from U to C?
Nope.
No, sir. I can still take all 3. Thank you.
He said the Bronzeback spot and affection as a melee murder machine is now well defined.
Yes, it is.
It was well defined. They just took it too far. It's like Steve said. I'm wondering if a lot of these things aren't just we went a little too far. Let's dial it back to Mark II.
Well, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I think with the increase to Fury and the ability for the charges, though you don't have to be base to base, that makes models like the Bronzeback very scary. I think that balancing to a Fury 7, not Fury 7, sorry, a threshold of 7 is interesting. I don't know if it balances it enough, but then again, like, it does put Bronzeback into a very good position to be a very good beast again.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, according to the fluff, the Bronzeback is the wildest of all the Titans.
Okay.
He is that alpha that, they can't breed him in captivity. They literally have to go out and capture a Bronzeback for mating purposes. Okay. So so to have a Bronzeback have a low threshold because, well, they've had very little training with it, and to have a high fury because, well, they've had very little training with it. Fluff-wise, this change makes so much sense because you're just basically bringing a wild beast onto your field of battle, aiming it in a direction, say, and whip it to go that direction.
No, I mean, then that does make sense. It does make sense. I think it's a good change. Again, most of these changes I'm excited for. I think overall it's really positive. I'm just wondering if some of them might be too scary of the change.
No, I didn't see anything in the errata that was like, oh my god, this is basically going to take Skorne from the worst faction in the world to the top tier faction. I think this just makes them a playable faction again. It sticks to their concepts, it sticks to their core intent. It makes them playable. I think maybe in a meta where shooting has gone unchecked, it may seem too scary. But that's just the Skorne errata is a meta bend. It's going to make the people who have been pre-measured gun lines have to think, can I still play this list? Or maybe do I need to turn one of my 2 pairs into something that's anti-Skorne?
The thing I am noticing while I'm sitting here, and it's just while you guys were talking, I was looking through some of the development notes. I think the change to the Kriya is by far the biggest change they made. Because reading through all of these other units and casters and beasts, every one of them, a ton of them make reference to now with the Kriya. So it looks like the change to the Kriya is what actually snowballed and helped make all these other changes.
Interesting.
So something cool.
Which is good and it's bad because you don't want to ever be in a situation where your lists are 100% dependent upon a model, because if your opponent knows that, you're screwed.
Yeah, because it's definitely saying like the Cyclops Shaman, they increased the arm on him to 15. And then they said, coupled with the changes to the Basilisk Kriya, it makes him a much more survivable beast in situations.
Well, yeah, because the shaman can still use the animus of the Kriya.
All right, so to talk about the Hydra in the room,
Hail Hydra.
Increased on the Desert Hydra to 6, and they replaced the first sentence of Sandstorm with, when an enemy model targets a model in the spellcaster's command range with a ranged attack, that attack suffers -3 range.
That fucking animus is so awesome. I think that does so much to make the Desert Hydra really, really enticing. Anyone else?
And by enticing, you mean playable.
Yeah, so the fact that it's pretty much it's effectively not as strong as a wind wall, but to reduce the range by 3 within 10. And then, oh, hey, your cash can cast it as well. Like, that's pretty strong, because before it used to be
the command on the Hydra is only 6.
Okay, so it's only 6 for the Hydra, but there's a couple of you have a couple of people that have command 10, right?
A couple of the casters, yeah.
A couple of casters, yeah. That's just, I think that's really awesome. And it's any model. What I like about it's any model within the command range. So it could be enemy or friendly. So if you try to target a friendly model with a knockdown AoE, guess what? You're at -3 range. Like, that's pretty cool. I suppose what the other version was you had to be in his command range for you to get -3. I think it was something like that with the old version.
I just think it says in this, I think it makes it in this, is that say you have like range 10 or range 14, you have to be much closer to the Desert Hydra or whatever you're trying to shoot in order to get something, in order to hit something, which of course makes the Desert Hydra more possible to get to where it wants to kill stuff.
Oh, don't be confused. The Desert Hydra is never going to cast this Animus. The caster with the Desert Hydra in his battle group is going to be casting this Animus.
Yeah.
Is it a self or?
Yes.
Yeah. So the Hydra can cast it, or whatever caster is currently controlling the Hydra, which is going to have a much larger command bubble than the Hydra will. The Hydra is going to be saving all of its fury and focus for boosting sprays, doing damage, getting up there. It may, cast the Animus, but I think that's going to be a Blue Moon scenario. I think this is one of those, you get the Animus, and then the Hydra is basically just giving the Animus to the caster. It's not necessarily, which becomes a situation of you got to watch out for, like, doesn't Sunder Spirit still remove the ability to use the Animus? So you're going to have to watch out for Sunder Spirits on the Hydra. But it's going to definitely be caster casting this, and then the Hydra is just going to be doing work. I think it improves him. I don't think it causes him to overshadow the Mammoth, but it puts him on the table.
Okay.
So are there any other beasts that we need to worry about, or can we move on to, like, solos?
I think the biggest one here is the Despoiler. They increased the range on his tail to 2, and then increased his point cost.
Reduced Moloch to 19.
The Cannoneer went up to Rat 5.
Okay.
His point cost went up to 15.
Oh, hold on. One other thing to point out is that the Reptile Hounds, even though nobody knows what those things are, they went from you buy 2 for 7 points, it's now you buy 1 for 4 points.
Yeah. So they got an increase.
Not only did they get an increase, they made it to where you don't have to buy them in a pack. You can buy them as a solo now.
Yeah.
Which is very...
And for those that, I know you guys all love Mullet Karn so much, especially you, Tony.
I hate him so much.
His strength actually increased by 1.
God damn it.
So he's now a POW 14 Weapon Master without any buffs.
He became a stronger beater and a reduced point value.
Yes.
I mean, that just means we're going to see Molokarn more often.
That is that potential.
Yeah. All right, what else? Anything else for beasts, or are we switching over to solos?
No, I think we're switching, but I think we need to actually cover something that's a major change, and because I think it's going to, since we just talked about all the beasts, I think we need to talk about the big changes to beasts, and that's the Pain Giver Beast Handler.
I see no change. They're good just as they are. Move along. Do not talk about the prodding. We don't need to know about prodding.
I think that this was a change that everybody either knew was going to happen, or it needed to happen. Like, it legitimately needed to happen. Skorne not being able to have any free charge of any kind was just completely unacceptable for them in order for them to get the work done. This needed to happen. It was a good change.
So this is an interesting one, as they had told us beforehand this was going to be a change. And I remember a conversation that happened on the forums, because I do tend to be on the forums a lot, being a moderator. Someone was very upset, and they felt that this was...
Drop.
Wait, what? I don't know who it was. I can't remember. Huh?
Because I'm a moderator.
Whatever. Get out of here. There was someone that was very, very upset, stating that they didn't feel that was what Skorne needed, that was too restrictive. Now, seeing all the other changes and seeing kind of what that has put into, what Skorne is, what do you guys feel about this change? Do you think it was the appropriate change? Do you think it was too good or not far enough? Should it have gone back to that Mark II version where you could do it at a certain amount of range, or it being in the base space, is that okay?
Well, I think we talked about this when we were talking about the erratas and the Skorne errata before it actually ever dropped, that we were all of the opinion of many of the abilities that are in this game need to have a risk versus reward to them. And this, I am in the opinion that this is the right amount of risk versus reward. You want your free charges, you can get your free charges. It comes at the risk of your guys have to come a little bit further forward. It just makes it so that free charges isn't the no-brainer, I just do it cause. It's now a, can I do this and not worry about losing my beast handlers?
I agree. I agree. I think having them to where they could sit 3 inches behind the beast and go, here, boom, you can charge for free. I think that that kind of left you kind of open to do what you wanted to. It allowed you to let your support pieces be free to not have to suffer from too much retaliation. But when you get them that extra 3 inches further forward, it can potentially get them in the way of another charge from behind that model. There's a lot of little things in there that having them up that much further can potentially cause an issue. I think this is a good change. And like, Kevin said, you gotta put some risk out there. Can't just let everybody be safe.
Awesome. All right, what else?
So going back up to the top, we're going to talk about we're going to start with the cataphracts. So let's talk about the actuary.
Why don't we just go ahead and just do this as a blanket? If you have cataphracts in your name, you got tough.
That's pretty awesome.
Something crazy I thought is that the Acuri got a weapon master on their harpoon gun.
Yes.
And combined ranged attack.
That's pretty cool.
They removed combined range.
Oh, okay. I see this now. Sorry. I apologize for that. So they removed combined range attacks, but gained weapon master. That's awesome.
So a little less likely to hit, but when they do, gonna do some damage. I'm okay with that.
Well, it just means that both of their weapons are now weapon master. Because the whole point for the drag is you have to damage them to drag them, and if you had a POW 12 against like an armor 19 light, it was you really had to hope your dice were hot to drag. Now that it's weapon master, you're definitely gonna be able to pull.
Do you think that with this change that you're going to have scenarios where people are bringing like a min unit of them just as movement shenanigans to extend the threat of the Beasts of Skorne?
I could see that.
Like, I'm just going to take 3, and they're going to trundle around, and they're going to drag something closer to the gladiator or whatever, so that I get more fury on attacks than I do having to cast rush and stuff like that.
I could see that. But I could also see them using the drag as a potential for clearing zones as well. You get that pesky little solo off to the side that's in the corner. You get him within the 8 inches. You drag him to the first guy with a Weapon Master POW 12. He beats on it with a POW 12. Next guy comes in.
Do you have any way
sideways.
of speeding them?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any way of speeding them up? Because they're kind of slow, aren't they?
They're speed 5. You can give them the press forward from the Paramount Commander in Standard.
Okay.
Not to mention you have now dash and whatever that other one is that Makeda got.
Makeda got which one?
The first one. She got I can't remember which one.
Oh, is it something she already had, not something from the
Yeah.
I don't have that on here.
That's fine.
All right. So the Satrati gained set defense and tough, of course, and the Incendiary they increased the power of their flame gun to 13. They reduced the point costs of the unit.
Better than Bombardiers.
Oh, and by the way, it's Quicken. Quicken is the spell I was thinking about that P. Makeda had, or Makeda 1 had.
Ooh, Quicken is so good.
Quicken is pretty good.
So the ones that got the Satrati got set defense, they also have shield wall. So underneath set defense and shield wall, and I think you guys have access to Defender's Ward. What are these guys sitting at now?
They let's see. They base at 1116. You shield wall them, they go up to 20. Defender's Ward, they go up to 22, and then hell, let's add the Korea for 24. That's against 24 against ranged, 22 against melee.
And their defense 13 was set defense.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome orders.
That is really awesome order. That is really terrifyingly good.
But they're only 5 boxes.
Oh yeah, only 5.
Speed 5.
Only 5 boxes.
I
So-
say
so-
only 5, but you look at the Man of War kept 8.
So they're
Point
Satrati
cost, though.
feel like they're falling into a similar category as Man of War. That kind of, this is a unit that's going to go into a zone, and you can come after them, but you're going to have to devote 2 come after them, and then most likely they're going to have a beast behind to mop up whatever comes after them. So I like the direction that they're going with it. It's one of the things that we're going to have to keep in mind, and this is just kind of PSA to the entire Warmachine community. Stop. Like, I just made the statement of those are some really nice warders because I want to give a context to how you're going to use them, very akin to how warders are used. But stop comparing. I see this all the time on the forums. Well, why is it that Satrati can do this, but Man of War can do this? Why is it that Man of War can do this, but Warp Wolves can stop it. Just stop. The game is not designed so that all medium bases function the exact same way as other medium bases. They're designed to function within a specific army with the casters and abilities available to them. You're not going to get clones of each other. You're not going to get scenarios where when you look at a Satrati card and a Man of War card and a Warder's card, they're all going to have the same mirror stats because that would be boring as hell. So just stop.
I like it.
All right, so moving on to the next one, let's go to Legends of Halak.
Legend.
Oh
Legends
my
of
God.
Baller.
So they got they're now speed 7, mat 8, defense 14, command 8. They gained weapon master, and they have flank. They removed flank.
Yes.
That's
And I-
pretty
I was
awesome.
about to say flank plus weapon masters, not okay.
And I
But I mean,
think
they're
the
mat
reason they
8.
removed that, I think they increased the mat and their command and their speed because they removed the flank, because they used to be their whole spiel in the past was they all had to charge the same thing to get up to the mat 8, up to the higher POW to be more survivable. But then you get the AoEs that drop on their head, and now you just wasted those points because a standard AoE would have taken them out. Even splash damage would have really, really hurt them. So I think these changes kind of make it to where now you don't have to clump them. They can now kind of be the independent badasses that I think they were meant to be in the first place.
You get 3 quality missiles that you get to shoot off instead of 1 major nuke.
Yes.
They're literally everything that the Sons of Bragg should be.
Damn.
Devin,
Damn.
do me a favor. Rewind this podcast about 5 minutes and listen to what I just said.
Shut the hell up. They're everything that the Sons of Bragg should be. Okay, Sons of Bragg doesn't have half of that. Okay, let's talk about
Hey,
your earlier statement of comparing
Skorne,
things. There's no comparison. There's no comparison. Like
Damn.
speed increase,
Shit got
mat
real.
increase, defense,
Bit-
command.
The salt. Like that guy.
Just tossing that
They
salt
don't-
on there.
They don't
Bitter-
have to
bitter
choose
table one.
anything. Yeah, they
All right,
literally don't even
so-
have to choose. It's just done.
All right, so Blood Runners. Anyone?
I don't know about Blood Runners. I don't know about no
They
Blood
got
Runners.
gang
They got gang.
and
combined
combined
melee.
melee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
I'm
know.
not
I've
sure. Go ahead.
I don't know where they're gonna fit. I don't know. They don't seem very obvious to me in their intended purpose besides being harassers. And I don't know if being harassers is good enough for their points.
I think the ability to do 1 point of damage. I think the reason with both gang and with combined melee and their ability to do what was it? Isn't it called precision?
Mhm.
Precision.
No, anatomical.
Anatomical. Thank you. They're gonna get rid of units. They're gonna get rid of pesky solos. Especially since they can kind of pop in, pop out.
I don't know if they're necessarily going to get rid of units. Solos, yes, I can get behind solos, but how much are you paying for this unit to go hunt down, 4-point solos?
I could see him getting rid of a 6. I mean, if these guys ran into a unit of my sluggers, it's not even going to take the full unit to kill all of them.
Well, there's only 6 guys in the unit.
That's what I'm saying, and there's only 5 guys in sluggers.
And if they charge, depending upon, then we could go on forever on this discussion. But I'm also put out there that depending upon placement will depend upon who they could or could not benefit from gang from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if
100%.
they would have made the change to give these guys 2 attacks with the rest of those increases, I think that would have been too much. They would have had to increase their points. But I think that the changes they made were almost kind of black. I mean,
Interesting.
gang is nice. Gang is nice, but combined melee, I just don't see it. I don't understand it, but that's me. Gang, I can see.
They are. I mean, they are solo hunters to an extent. I just don't know if the point values justify them.
I agree. I mean, I mainly use them because they have a higher defense. They advance deploy, and I can just get them up the field quicker and tie up whatever I need to tie up, hoping the rest of my army can catch up before you can kill them off.
Yeah, I mean, they're like I said, they're harassers, and I don't know. The game's point values on units and warjacks and stuff like that are too high for you to have a unit whose pretty much sole purpose is to be annoying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next one is
Next.
Ferox.
Yeah, they had a point reduction, so that was good. Keltari went up to speed 7.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
And the developer note says that they wanted them to perform more of a frontline role, and now they are excellent at doing just that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the Keltari are the ones who had the blade turning?
Yes.
So turn 1, they're going to run forward, they're going to get blade turning, and then they're going to be under Kreia to defense 19?
15.
No. What's their standard?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up now.
Am I throwing Defender's Ward in?
Maybe. They're a 13, 14, so they'd be a 15. A Kreia, if she can keep up. Because remember, she's only speed 6, so... And they're
she's
speed
getting
7.
rush.
But if she runs, she's not keeping up with the unit, because her ability is only within 3 inches of her.
Well, but if she does her Animus and tramples, that puts her to...
Well, let's see, 9 inches up. She's still well behind that unit if they run at 14.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Because she can't. Well, I guess she could probably put the one Animus of rush up, trample. I mean, but now she's looking at 9 inches. I mean, she's still 5 inches behind the Keltari.
Yeah, so the Keltari are going to have to drag their feet back about 2 inches to stay within. I mean, theoretically, if you're looking at a gun line, though, and you've got Keltari with blade turning, and then you've got the Kreia, they can survive shots towards them, and then that speed 7 really comes into play at the top of 2 when they get to potentially charge something.
Yeah, being speed 7 plus the 2-inch melee. I mean, you're talking what, a 12-inch threat bubble. That's not bad.
These feel like Skorne's jammers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is nice because they felt like they didn't necessarily have a place before.
Well, I mean, I always thought that they were jammers. I just thought that they were kind of slow as jammers. So putting them up to speed 7, I think, was I mean, they're your light guys that run forward, that spin their bladed weapons around. So to me, having them speed 7 works out.
Yeah, but wasn't Annihilators and Swordsmen potentially fitting that same role?
No. Swordsmen are more of your line troops. They're we've got, a lot of training, and we're moving up to, honoring our house type stuff. And the Annihilators, well, they're just a bunch of crazy bastards. They're like, run that way.
All right, so any other major units to go over? Or?
So, I mean, Swordsman went up to Mat 7.
Which goes with training.
Which is huge because now they're Mat 7 Weapon Masters on a unit of 10 is crazy.
Well, they're only Weapon Masters under their mini feat.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's the only time I ever see them is when they're under the mini feet.
Yeah, because they're normally pound 9. I mean, they're only pound 9s, so...
Something cool, though, is that the Praetorian Swordsman Officer and Standard, they gained a little bit extra mat, but they also gained Power Swell, and they can use it once per game, and models in this unit gain an additional die on melee damage rolls.
Yeah, that's their mini feat.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh, so that's the mini feat that makes them Weapon Masters?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But what's the change to that?
It used to be called something else.
Show of Force.
Yeah, so they just changed from sword because Power Swell was already in the game. The Crix Raiders.
Okay.
So I mean, it's like bookkeeping. They went from multiple things having the same name, multiple effects having different names or same. Yeah, whatever. It works out. Just cleaning up.
It works, damn it.
That's right.
So the Tyrant Commander and Standard Bearer gain tough. Tyrant Vorkesh gain tough. The Venerator Reaver Officer and Standard grant combined arms to their unit.
Yeah.
Which is actually a very interesting bonus that I didn't think that they were going to do anything like that for.
Really?
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
The Slingers gained advanced deployment. Terrestrial Guardians gain an immortal unit activating within 5 inches, model/unit, activating within 5 inches of one or more Ancestral Guardian models gain +2 movement when advancing as part of its normal movement that activation.
Which is reminiscent of Mark II, where they gave Immortals that little speed boost for their turn.
Yeah, it's pretty legit.
Except for now, it's part of their normal movement, so that means they can't do it to do like a charge. They actually have to do it when they just do a standard advance, correct?
That I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it basically puts them into a situation where they're going to be getting into position and getting into place a lot easier. They're not going to be lulling behind, because you'd see that a lot where they turn around and the rest of the army would be advancing up, and they're kind of like, I'll be there, I'll catch up, guys, don't worry about me.
I'll be right there, guys. Hang on.
We're great in short distances.
I mean, overall, it's a good change. It's going to help them. I don't think it's necessarily going to impact if you're going to see them more or less than you already did, but if you are going to take them, it helps them. So
yeah,
good change.
All right. Are we about ready in the casters? Or no?
No. Marqueth went up. They increased his arm to 13, and then they reduced the point cost down to 5. Hakar the Destroyer got Veteran Leader Exalted, and when in this model's command range, other friendly Exalted models gain +1 to attack rolls.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. It's pretty strong. But
All right, let's wrap up on the units because we still got a little bit of time left, and we gotta go through the casters.
Okay, out of units go, out of solos go, there's only one solo that I would really like to talk about real quick.
Okay.
And as the Paingiver Taskmaster, because with the changeover and everything else, with minions being a less likely ally for Skorne, the Taskmaster actually makes you want to really think about taking minions. Mostly because it gives Scudder, which is the ability to anybody that is affected by it gets a 3-inch reposition after their activation. They didn't fail a charge or run.
That's pretty awesome.
So now you have like a unit like Gators, which not a lot of people want to take Gators currently, but if you take Gators, you put Scudder on them, they now charge the extra distance for living against a living model, and then they get to have a reposition 3 afterwards, means that they're going to be able to get into somebody's infantry that they weren't able to before. Plus it gave them the way Timbered Flesh works, which basically it just says it gives them tough, which is what they had before, which once again is good, and I think makes it to where the Taskmaster will hopefully make it to where people want to take minions in Skorne again. That's just it. That's all I really wanted to talk about for the last of the solos. Was I think that the changes they made to the Taskmaster, giving the increased abilities, was really a good idea.
Well, I think another pairing that might actually go with pretty well is if you wanted to do the Pharaoh Brigands without taking the Warlord. I'm not sure necessarily why you would want to do that, but I think the option of reposition gives it that way. It helps minions. Maybe it helps Croak Railers a little more since they didn't have reposition to begin with. You mentioned Gators, and my only concern is I don't think this helps Gators overcome the massive hurdle that is their stat line. I agree. I agree. Hurts them a lot.
I agree. But you kind of got what I was talking about, where you start out with it, giving it out, and Croak Raiders, the Shamblers, anything that moves up, once it moves up and kills what it's in combat with, it's now sitting out there with nothing. But at least now you give it the potential for the advance. Yeah.
No, I almost wish that they would have moved the Taskmaster under the unit category and treated it kind of akin to like the Cephix Dominator, where it's like, here's the Taskmaster, you purchase him, and then you attach a unit to him, and now this unit is friendly faction, but if the Taskmaster dies, then the unit can only run for a turn, kind of that scenario, because then it provides you a little bit more in-friendly, because there's still a crap ton of friendly faction stuff going on. But maybe that would have put them a little too close to the way they used to be in Mark II. I want to talk about casters. I want to talk about the favorite caster in the whole world, the one that almost brought me into Skorne. I want to talk about Big Tubby Butter Pants Rusheth.
Jeez.
He legitimately is the one caster that I look and I'm like, maybe playing Skorne isn't that bad.
Oh my god, that's
Jump in my pool, buddy.
crazy.
Come on. I got you.
the water's nice and warm.
His change.
So let's
change
talk
wasn't
Rusheth.
big. He just had he gained Dark Rituals. Placed the first sentence of Dark Rituals with the following: this model can channel spells through friendly faction warrior models in its control range.
Which is
do we know?
impactful
Do we know
because-
why we did this? Do you know why they did this? Anybody?
Because Gobber smoke clouds are really, really cheap arc nodes.
Well, that and Feral Geist being incorporeal can get almost anywhere on the table.
So no incorporeal arc nodes for you.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's actually pretty terrifying.
They could still do it for. They could still do it to the Void guys, right? The Void.
The Void Spirits? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a lot more expensive than Feral Guys.
But still incorporeal.
God,
True.
that's ridiculous.
So who else do we have? Did Tony's favorite caster, Makeda 3, get anything?
No,
Good. She's fucking awful.
she just kept her one spell that ignores tough. So anybody that has tough doesn't get it.
Oh my god, whatever. Get out of here. Nobody likes her. She's an awful caster. She's just the worst.
Does she still do horrible things to Convergence armies, and then
assume
when they
so.
try and summon back, you're just like, I'm going to countercharge?
Well, I mean, we don't even summon back anymore. Come on. No, but an interesting thing is I actually interested in is Arch Domina Marketa. Is that Marketa too?
Yes.
Yes,
So she got
No.
jackhammered.
That's one. That's one.
Okay. So
that's like
Makeda,
Supreme Archdominant is 2.
okay, so Makeda 1 got jackhammered, which I actually think is really cool. And
How
someone
about the
posted this
fact
up.
that she gained Field Marshal Shield Guard? Every beast has Shield Guard.
Which that's awesome. It's very cool. What I think is interesting though about Jackhammer, and someone else had brought this up, is that she can cast Jackhammer on herself, which is really cool because if there's somebody she wants to charge but she is engaged in combat, she can Jackhammer herself, kill the model, and then open up a charge lanes for herself then to charge. I think it's a neat little thing.
So let me ask you a question. How much does Jackhammer cost?
1 point.
How many times can she cast it?
As many focus as she has.
6.
So 6.
How many times can a bronze back attack now?
Hold on. I got one better for you. How many times can Mullet Karn now attack?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, very, very good, right? It's just, Jackhammer is a very good spell. I really enjoy it. I think it's going to go really well on Skorne. Again, super terrifying, but, hey, I guess it's par for the course, right?
Well, it also, it's only range 6, so that means that she has to be within 6 inches of whatever it is. So, like, if it's for her to clear a lane for herself, that works out perfectly.
Yep.
But if it's for her to use, it's also perfect. Oh, man, I almost got your caster with, the bronze back, Mullet Karn, the Sentry, the Kriya, whatever it is that was in combat with your caster. Oh, I almost had it.
Oh,
I
so
know.
close.
I'll activate my caster. Boom, Jackhammer.
Yeah, very true. It's really good stuff. Like, I'm very excited for her to have that. That's a pretty cool thing.
Pokey, can you explain the changes to the Defiance of the Void? So,
Well, first of all, they have Retaliatory Strike, which is one of the bigger ones.
okay. So did the whole thing change, or did they just add
Well, actually,
Retaliatory
they
Strike?
did change it all because originally her feat was for any model that dies in her control area, her control area, will come back to their unit at the beginning of the next turn. So, as long as there's one model left, everybody that dies in her control area will return back to that unit within her command, within her control, and within like 3 inches of another model in the unit.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
the change they did now, which is instead of waiting a turn and hoping they survive, she now spends a point to just let them heal the point.
Okay.
So on her feet, she's going to be popping her feet when she's camping as much as she can possibly camp.
Yeah, Skorne Harvey.
But that's a feat.
Yeah, I think between that and Field Marshal Shield Guard is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, an interesting thing is that now it's almost impossible for Retaliatory Strike not to go off on her feet if she spends that point of fury.
Really?
Because retaliatory
That's
strike
awesome.
only goes off if they kill them. When you kill the model, there's no retaliatory strike. So if she saves at that one hit point, it gets to swing back on whatever is there.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think for me the biggest change would be the Field Marshal Shield Guard. Like literally having an entire, your entire army is shield guarded is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Her secondary version, he got increased to 27 War Beast points, and then they replaced the text of Stay Death with the following: when a friendly living non-warlock faction warrior model in this model's command range is disabled, she can spend 1 fury point to remove 1 damage point from the disabled model.
Yeah, they're just limiting it down to what can be Stay Death. That's all it was. They just did a clarification on, what exactly it is you can Stay Death.
They definitely mentioned to use it on Legends of Halak and the Cataphract.
Non-warrior, non-warlock warrior model. So no Stay Death Mullet Karn. Sad.
Yeah, non-warlock faction warrior model. Living.
Or better yet, they don't throw in the non-warlock, and you're just like, oh, did I take 16 points of damage? Stay death.
Stay there.
So Morgul, Morgul 2 changed. He went to Fury 6. They increased the power of his Mercy to 7. He gains the Elite Cadre Blood Runner special rule, Parry. They replaced Ghost Walk with the spell Shadow Play. So target friendly faction models gain Incorporeal this turn. During your control phase, the affected model gains Incorporeal for 1 turn. Holy shit. That's the whole army.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you can hit anybody.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, the nice thing is,
bronze back.
well, the nice thing about that is Ghost Walk is 3 points to cast, and Shadow Play is 2.
Yep.
Does fairly similar.
Mentality. So that's disgusting. Tyrant Hexorus. They reduced his War Beast points to 28. Great power, which allows him to upkeep 1 spell without spending any fury. They replaced the influence spell he had with Sunder Spirit, which allows them to remove an Animus from a War Beast. They replaced Spirit Leech with Parasite.
They also removed Blood Boon from him.
Yep. Yeah. So they removed Blood Boon. And then let's see what else we got.
His feat changed. Hexy's feat changed.
Oh, yeah. They replaced the 4th sentence of Dark Dominion with the following: this model cannot be targeted by free strikes during this movement.
His feat's the one that says if I kill a model, it gets to move 3 inches and make another swing. Well, that they stopped because some people were taking free strikes, going, oh, well, it's your model because you're controlling it, so I can make a free strike.
Oh, that's a good change.
So now they just made it to where you can't get free strikes.
Also gained some changes. He got Field Marshal Pain Response, which says that War Beasts in this model's battle group gain Pain Response when damaged. A model with while damaged, response can charge and make power attacks without being forced.
So basically, is this a scenario where you have a beast in Naresh's battle group, you stab it, you don't kill it, next turn it tramples over top of you?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Well, it can also make charge or power attacks without being forced. So this now kind of goes to where if it gets damaged, then it's like, oh, well, all I have to do now is get the Enrage put on it and pop feet, and this thing's going to be max fury when it gets there. So let's say go back to everybody's favorite Bronzeback. Now a Bronzeback is going to be able to charge for free. It's going to have the +2 from Enrage, +3 from the feet. I mean, so you're at +5 on that Bronzeback.
Well,
he's not even spending anything.
Well, the changes to his feat are what really makes it crazy. His feat is Imperishable Flesh, which says you immediately apply up to 1 damage point to each aspect of living war beasts in Naresh's battle group, can remove 1 damage point for each damage point applied as a result of Imperishable Flesh. Additionally, in their control range, living war beasts in his battle group gain +1 strength and arm for each of their damaged aspects. So he can give everybody +3 strength, +3 arm, the ability to charge for free and make power attacks while healing.
While he heals, yeah.
That's disgusting.
I think you're going to see a lot more of him on the tabletop with beast-heavy lists.
I guarantee it.
Now, do you think it's going to be a scenario if it's just going to be heavies? Like, it's going to be beast heavy, but it's pretty much just going to be heavies?
And at least one Kreia.
And an agonizer. Don't forget agony.
Nah, I think there's going to be, I definitely see a lot of, you're going to have a whole bunch of different types of beasts, because I think one of the coolest thing that we've already discussed is that in this errata, they made sure that all of the beasts are a little bit different, so you get a lot of...
Okay, I'm going to throw out a really nasty thing that, I don't know if anybody, people probably thought about this, I'm probably late to this game, but with the point reduction of the Archidon and the extended leash, under the feet, now the Archidon within rage is going to be able to, between that and the damaged aspects, it's going to be a very nasty war beast that's going to be able to reach across the table to almost anybody it needs to reach across to.
Yeah, it'll definitely threaten deep.
Because you're talking, if you can get in rage plus the feet, you're now at a PNS 20 that's charging for free with 3 Fury.
Jesus Christ. God, that's horrifying.
And it being only 10
disgusting.
points, you can field a whole flock of those things.
A gaggle of Archidons. You heard it here first.
We're going to have a crash and then a gaggle.
Yep.
No, because those things are a pain to build.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait till the plastic kit comes out.
Poor commission builders. They're going to be like, my hands are so sore.
So, do you think that the Archidon at 10 points is putting it into a realm of value spamming? Or is it still just not enough?
I think it depends upon what your caster you're taking it with. Like this right here. If you can find a way to also increase its mat, it's only mat 6, it's going to be able to do some damage to somebody. POW 20 is not a light amount of damage. And if you get multiple out there, it just makes it even worse.
Okay.
And which, by the way, there was another gentleman on the Skorne Facebook page that had actually made mention of, I want to say, Xerxes 2 and 9 Archidon because of long leash and his feet.
It was Josh, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Wow.
It was crazy.
So who else? Who are we missing on the caster front?
Oh, Xerxes, the Fury of Halak.
Oh, the Rhino handicap Xerxes?
X gonna give it to you.
That's right. He's going to give it to you twice.
God, it's gonna be painful. I'm not gonna be okay with it.
So
Yeah,
what are we dealing with on him? Because I'm not actually aware of his change.
Field Marshal is +2 speed. So instead of having mobility, instead of needing mobility, he just gives everybody +2 speed.
Sure.
Mobility has been replaced by Report, which is the target war beast can use the caster's current mat and rat in place of its own.
Oh, Convergence losing their tech.
And when checking to see if the affected war beast is in the controller's control range, double the range.
So long leash for everything. Jesus.
Yeah. That has Report cast on it.
Oh, okay. So we're not. This isn't battle group based. It's target based.
Yeah, because it says target war beast in the spellcaster's battle group.
I thought for a second you were like, the entire battle group gets to replace his mat and rat, and they get long leash. I'm like, what the fuck? That's like feet level shit.
Doesn't Xerxes 2 have an ability to increase his mat?
I don't believe so.
No,
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pulling it up while you guys are talking. Let's see.
Because I was just thinking about with Rapport, he would be able to increase his own mat and then
no, he can increase the damage, but not the mat.
Okay. What's Tibber's bond with him?
Sidestep, I believe.
And does he benefit
overtake?
from Rapport?
Overtake.
Does he benefit from Rapport as his stat line go up?
He can get it. Let me check out to...
Yeah, but how much of a significant change is his stat line versus Xerxes?
It increased it, looks like, by 1.
So
let me double check here.
my question is that why would
Yes, I won.
you really want your beast to go out of your control range? Because then you can't force it, unless if it's a. I'm actually not sure. I'm wondering why.
I think it's for those ones that you need to send out as a missile. So like you put it like on a Savage.
Okay.
It's now like a Mat 8, whatever POW it is, like POW 15, that you can just send out there to attack something and go, all right, well, you're now Mat 8, and you're going to be able to pretty much hit whatever it is I need you to hit. And if you die, well, you're, 7 points that I lost.
I just think I saw something with the wording, and correct me if I'm wrong. So it says, when checking to see if the infected war beast is in its controller's control range, double the range.
Yes.
Long leash makes the control range double. Does this double long leash?
No, I don't think it does I think it's because it's the same effect. It shouldn't double the double.
But it's from a different source. So the wording on long leash says, checking to see if this model's in its controller's range, you double the range. I was looking at it, I was like, man, that would be crazy.
No, it actually works out towards it's basically the same because for rapport it says when checking if the affected war beast is in the controller's range. So you're checking if the war beast is in the controller's range, then it's doubled. And leash is if you want to see if the Archidon is in its range.
Oh shit!
You double it. So it doesn't quadruple the range. It like Tony had said, it just doubles it the one time.
No, actually it doesn't. Okay. It's inside the. Send to developer notes. It says, yes, the Archidon has a 40-inch control area with rapport.
Wow.
Spoiler alert, Archidon changes ahead.
You put the Archidon on the table next to you, and you go, don't worry, he's in my control range.
I told you.
Okay.
I was looking.
So I was also wrong before because because of rapport, you can still force that beast even though it's outside your control range because it's considered to have long leash at that point.
Because of long leash, yes.
Okay, my fault. I was thinking that you just checked C for, I don't know. I'm retarded. But yeah, so Archidon is stupid.
Well, especially now that the Archidon is going to be becoming a Mat 8.
Oh my god, that's dumb.
With a
Does
base power of 15.
Pitch?
What?
Does the Archidon still have crit pitch?
Let me pull it up.
Yes, he does.
Don't forget that with just by being in his battle group, he gains +2 speed due to Field Marshal.
So he goes up to a speed 9, which is dumb.
Archidon zips over, grabs the caster. Fuck you, bitch! Tosses you over the line.
Someone's like, you can't get me, and Archidon's like, hold my beer. I got this.
I want somebody to model an Archidon with one of those hats that has 2 beers on the side of it with hoses.
Oh my god, that'd be great.
So, yeah, it's
all right.
cute.
So,
oh shit, that's good.
And the final change to him is they removed Petrify and gave him Stranglehold.
Stranglehold's a really good spell. It's always frustrated me a lot.
And then the last two for casters is you have the 2 Zols.
We forgot Xerxes 1.
You forgot Xerxes 1.
We skipped him.
Oh.
No,
I was on mute.
Well, Xerxes 1 has a change from Rift to Lurch.
And
It's a change. You're right. It's one of the 86 changes. Moving on.
And then you have the 2 Zols.
So, Supreme Optimus Zol. They replaced Death Pact with Inviolable Resolve, which is really good.
Good change.
And then they increased his speed to 5.
That's which one, 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes sense because now he can get his, he can get his stone ass out of the kill box.
I'm gonna play Zol 2. You start 2 points up.
All right, and let's talk about the creature at the bottom of the page, which has gone through so many changes between Mark II and Mark III that he's gone from shit to good to shit to good again. And that's the Sea Animatrax.
Did he go to good?
Wait a minute, Stomples has always been good.
He's fantastic now.
Everybody please understand that Pokey is a Stomples apologist. He's always thought that Stomples is good, even though that CJ Matrix was shit in Mark II.
No. I always hoped it would be good.
It was good at the end of Mark II.
And then they kicked it in the dick.
And then they kicked it in the dick, and now they're giving it its dick back.
No, I disagree.
No, it's not.
See,
I don't think it's as good as you think it is.
They just gave him his balls. That's all they gave him back. Just his balls.
Well,
that's all
Just
they
a
gave him.
little bit of his balls,
That's
not the
more
full
than he
ball.
had.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it's necessarily going. It's not an improvement. It is literally an improvement to his prior form. I still don't think he's going to see the table. Except for
But
when
anyways,
he pulls out his
please let us
janky list.
please let us know what are his changes.
They increased the speed to 5. They increased the range of the double reaver to 12. They decreased his point cost. They replaced burst fire with volume fire, which says gain +1 to attack and damage rolls with this weapon against medium base models, and +2 to attack and damage rolls against large and huge base models. So,
So he hits trolls a little more accurately.
correct.
Yeah, so
and that-
his rat goes to 6 or 7, depending upon if he's hitting a larger
And how expensive is this battle engine now?
17 points.
He is the cheapest battle engine.
That's because he's the shittiest battle engine.
Aw.
You know which battle engine I've never heard of? Is the Ret one. I've never seen that motherfucker.
Oh, the
Arcantric
crickets?
Turbo?
The crickets?
The cricket. All right, guys, let's get this all wrapped up and closed up. So we are just a little bit over on time now by about
So
40
from
minutes.
from a perspective, in my thoughts, from a perspective of this errata, I feel like Skorne, they're not top table. They're not going to be. It's not going to be a case of we're going to start seeing all the conventions coming out, and it's going to be, the top 6 players are Skorne. I do think that Skorne is in a position where, given the devotion of a player, given the attention and the thought behind it, that there is no reason that a Skorne player can't podium.
I definitely believe that this is probably like some of the most exciting changes that Privateer Press has put out in Mark III. And I have to say that where people were very upset,
I think that this is. I think this is
errata
an
has
opportunity.
been amazing.
Sorry.
So yeah, you cut out Devin. What were you saying?
But it's just everybody's been really excited about this. Excited about the Skorne errata, and everybody's been super positive about it though.
I think the biggest thing that this does, from not just to Skorne necessarily, is it proves the point that PP is willing to look at their product and go, we fucked up.
I agree. Pokey, what are your thoughts?
I think the errata was good. I think it definitely, like Kevin said, I think it definitely gave Skorne what it needed to get back into not the crappiest faction, but a middle of the field. In the right hands, it'll probably do a lot of damage. In the wrong hands, it'll probably still suck. But that's the same with any faction. I think this might actually be a start point for where they may actually do the same effect to every faction at some point to make sure that they're all completely balanced, and then go from there.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna pose a question to those listening. Of those of you who are listening, how many of you are dusting off your Skorne as we speak? How many of you are looking at Skorne and wondering if that's a faction you want to move into?
All right, that's for your question. So I'm going to wrap this up. So I want to thank everybody for listening to another episode of Turn Extension. Have a good day.
Good night.
All right, bye.